Okay, we're going to go through a couple things that you get in your box when you get it. One of the first things you get is your remote control. Comes in a little baggie or a little box like this. You got two key fobs run the thing up and down. So it comes in a little box. We also give you a locking pin. That's the locking pin that goes for the seat tube. So there's a locking pin in there. You get the two knurled knobs. I'll throw in a couple of pictures, a couple of knurled knobs that lets you adjust your bike wings. That goes in there. We have your mounting bolts. There's your what we call a lift ride bolt. I'll just pull it out here quickly. There's your lift ride bolt, stainless steel lift ride bolt that locks your bike in place when you're going down the road. And also it's got 4 more stainless bolts that mounts your main tube, your center T-piece onto the bracket below. You also get 2 straps, 2 tie straps. And what the tie straps do is they hook onto these holes in the back here, and they grab the back of your bike and they pull it into the seat tube. So that's what they're for, and we'll go through that a little bit later on. There's the centerpiece. That's the centerpiece bracket. All the wiring is hanging out at the end. That gets bolted on to the main piece there. That does your main support. And obviously you get your bike wings. These are the adjustable bike wings. If you notice that there's 10 holes here, so you can adjust it for the center of your back and front axles of your bike. So you can go in the back. You also get a mounting plate here. This is a 650-pound bike lift. So we give you a mounting plate here on both the wings, so you can drill holes in there or whatever you need to do to attach to your frame to lift your bike. So that's one wing. There's the second wing. We got the other bracket tied on there. You get DOT-approved brake lights. Tail lights, so when you're going down the road at night, you're fully illuminated, because some of the big bikes will cover the back end of your vehicle quite significantly, and you'll lose your tail light capability. Got one more piece here. This is the seat tube. Has the sheepskin on it. So this is what holds your seat of your bike, sits in here, and it clamps it down and holds it in place. So that's your seat tube. Let's take a couple minutes, and we'll go through the power pack and what this is designed to do. This one has a 24-inch stroke. We can get them all the way up to 28 or 30, depending on how far your hitch is off the ground. So you can lower it right to the ground, ride your bike on, and let it lift it up. So 24-inch stroke. Inside there is a 12-volt DC motor. It has limit switches on it, so when it hits the top, it limits out. When it hits the bottom, it limits out. That prevents somebody from keeping their finger on the control to be able to drive it up to the top and keep pushing and pull down the current. So it's a fully sealed system. In there, there's 2 rams that go out. It's basically a worm drive ram, and it pulls about 7 to 8 amps when you're running. That's why you can plug it into your normal 7-pin outlet on your truck. Because it doesn't draw a whole lot of current. So you can basically put this on any vehicle that has a proper 2-inch hitch, 2-inch square hitch. So you can plug it in and you're off and running. So on the outside there's a 3-inch square aluminum. It's double anodized, so it's extremely hardened, inner and outer surface. So there's a 3-inch here. There's a 1/4-inch thick. Inside is the 2.5-inch one. It's double gusseted. It's welded on the back. I got 3 gussets on the front. I got another gusset. It's designed for the wobble. So from side to side, it's gusseted so you can take out the side wobble. So the inner stem is machined to fit inside the outer stem. So it slides up and down. Very nice. Every year, part of the maintenance is you run it all the way down, clean off all the dust. You can put a little bit of grease on, a little slippery lube if you want. Just clean it all up so when it goes up and down, it doesn't get gritty and binds on you if you're going down a lot of dirt roads. There's a cap on the bottom that caps off the dust from going inside the inner unit. So it's fully self-contained. You don't have to worry about it. It's totally replaceable if something goes wrong with it. You just pull the top of the cover off. There's 4 bolts on each side, or 2 bolts on each side. Pull the cover off. There's a bolt on the bottom, a stem, a drive pin. Pull that one out, pull the motor out, put the new motor in, and off you go. There's a fuse I put on the side here. It's a 15 amp fuse for maximum, just in case some of you have a pinched wire. There's a control box that's underneath, and that is for your remote. It has a little antenna on it, so that drives your machine up and down. It's the controller that reverses the motor back and forth. So it's a fairly, you can have it outside in the rain. Everything's aluminum. Everything's powder coated or anodized. The main stem is anodized. The top pieces, the bike wings are powder coated. So we got a really durable finish on it. And notice the sticker on the front. We got a Kong lift sticker on the front. You can get these to match your bike if you want red, blue, white, whatever it is type of bike you have. You can just pick it on the website. You can just pick whatever selection you want and get the different color that you want. So that kind of sums up how this one is built. So all the welds are dye penetrant tested. Each one goes through a lift test. We got a lift testing facility where we actually hook up 650 pounds to it, run it up and down. We put it under dye penetrant lights, black lights for argument, for to get the color ratio out of it. Look for cracks. So each one is certified. Each one's QA inspected. Each one has a serial number. So we serialize everything so we know the welding procedures, where the material come from, what factory it come from, who did the machining work. We got full history on it. So it's a fully assembled, fully engineered solution. Now what we did is, this is meant for bike wings, but really there's other accessories that you put on here. So this is like a multi-purpose bracket. You can put on a wheelchair lift. You can put on a box on the side. A lot of people put their tools on the side. We have a forklift extension that's coming out. We've had a few requests to put it on for farmers on quads. Put it on the front of their quad or the back of the quad and be able to lift some bales, moving them around the field. So we got a few other. If you come up with some other ideas and you want us to build you something for it, we don't have a problem with that. Very customizable, very personable place we work at. So if there's anything that is required or you want modifications, whatever, just give us a call at the factory. And if there's something that needs to get done out in the field, wherever you live, we have certain welders in certain places that we're comfortable with. They can do some modifications for you and so forth and so on. So let's take it for a tour. Let's take it for a little bit of a run here. I just got to plug it in here. This is your normal 7-pin. Plug it in here, and I'm just going to turn on the power. So this is your lifting device. Your little red. It's got a serial number on the back, so if you ever lose it, you just phone, and we keep track of those serial numbers. You can get a new key fob if you want. There's a battery inside. I've never had anybody yet in the last 4 or 5 years ever run out of battery. So it's basically up and down. So you push up or down, and it will go to the full limit of 1,000 pounds. The motor inside here is good for 1,000 pounds lift, but we only take it to 600 or 650. Just for the sake, we just want to make sure that it's robust enough to lift the bike. We don't max it out. So if you put your finger on the button, if I just press down, you can see that the motor, it's descending right now. So it's going to go down a full 24 inches. It's not a speed demon. That's why we pull less current, because it's a high gear ratio drive. So it moves at about 0.63 a second. So at 0.63 inches per second. But it doesn't take horribly long to get it all the way to the bottom. So you just keep your finger on the bottom. When it hits the bottom, when it finds its happy spot, it'll quit. If you want to stop, just let your finger off the button. You want to go back up again, press the up arrow, and you can go up and down. So we'll run it all the way down to the ground. So in our facility, we have we have a lifting system where we will load it up and lift it. We'll look for bends and twists. Over the years, we've gotten our fabrication process pretty much down to a fine science. Certain type of people that had certain types of certificates for doing the aluminum welding. So everything is designed for purpose. Everything's done in 3D AutoCAD. Everything's machined and inspected as it comes in the door, assembled. We have a full anodizing process that we go through to do the double hard anodizing to give you the hard surface. So it goes through quite the rigorous process to make sure that we got the quality there. One of the reasons why this happened is I bought a relatively expensive $10,000 dirt bike, and I was looking for some place or some way that I could put it on the back of my vehicle and take it with me. So there it's at the bottom now. And I looked at what was out there, and honestly, it scared me. I just didn't think it was practical to put my big bike on the back. So I just hand-built a couple of my own, just tried a few things. And the funny thing was, every time I went to the dirt bike track or whatever, everybody would drive by me and then slow down and have a look. And then I just built them for some of my friends, a part of the dirt bike club. So I built a couple for them, a couple bigger bikes, tried a few of those, and it wasn't until I actually found the proper actuator in the motor where I could really justify this as a true production type equipment. So it took a little bit of a while. It took me about 5 years in design to get it to a point, get it to this level, to get everything automated and protected. A lot of people have used it. Several people have gone to Alaska with big bikes on the back. Who've totally abused it, totally put it through its limits. We had some earlier cracking in the early days. Now all the cracking's gone. I went to double wall pipe or double wall tubing. This is also structural tubing. It's not just the square tubing and you get your normal fence company or anything like that. So it's very heavy duty. So there, we hit it all the way to the bottom. I didn't have to do anything. It just went to the bottom and stopped. I'm going to run it back up, and then we'll throw on the T-piece and kind of take a couple minutes and put on the bike wings and make it work. So this one here is probably around the 45-pound mark. So you can take it off. You can take it and take it off your vehicle, take off the T-piece, unplug the T-piece, hang it on your wall, take this, hang it on your wall, put it in the corner. So it's meant to come apart so you can store it. You don't need the bike, the motorcycle seat bracket on it if you just got a construction box on the back. We have a couple construction people that have a table on the back with a vise, and they take that with them. Then when they're done for the day, they just hit the up button and go home. When they come back to work the next morning, hit the down button, leave it on the ground. They got their full table on it. So it's meant to be multi-purpose use, meant to do that type of stuff. So we're just waiting for it to come up to the top. We also throw in some stickers for you, so you can sticker up a few things. I greatly appreciate letting everybody know where you got your lift from. So here she's coming up to the top. So the purpose is that the center is usually about 19 inches off the ground. So what I do is I come past the center line of your hitch and I bring the bike to the fully upright position. In the 28-inch models, we get another 4 inches. In the 30 models, we get another 6 inches on top of this. So there it's on the top. I can keep on hitting the button. It totally stopped itself, and you don't have to do anything. Okay, so here is the T-piece. The T-piece has got your normal 4-pin plug on it that connects to your lights. We have extra plugs coming out here. That goes to each one of your bike wings. So we just bolt that on in the center here. We'll just take a couple minutes here, and I'll connect it. I'll just put a couple of these on loosely, just so you can get an idea of how this works. So it's meant to go on multiple instances. So like for multiple, like say it's designed to do other things. I even had a couple people pull stumps out of the ground with it on the back of their vehicle. Not highly recommended, but you know, they emailed me back saying they had a great time pulling stumps out of their yard. I thought that was a unique use. Wasn't prepared for that, but you know, if that's what they want to do. Oh, where's all my ones? So now we got everything mounted here. So we're going to put in a bike wing and go from there. So the one with the longer one is obviously on the passenger side. So we'll stick that in first. Just feed it in the tube, slide her in. Comes out the other side. You know, plug it in. It's marked driver and passenger. So all you need to do is go color codes, black to black, white to white, green and yellow. Oop, plugging the wrong one in. Okay. Black, green to green, white to white. And the other bike wing, it's a little bit more trickier because you got to put it all together first. So here we go again. We go white, black to black, and yellow. So you put it all in. You just kind of feed her in the middle of the tube here. Give you a little more space. Slide her in, and you're good to go. We'll put in our two knurled adjustments. So as you can tell, you can push one the other way. Usually the majority of the motors of the motorbikes usually load from the curb side this way. So usually the motors sit about here. This is kind of mainly where your seat is almost in the middle. So the motor's on that side and the curb of your seat is pretty much on that side. So this is where you adjust your axle to axle. So what you want to do is measure your front axle, put it in here, measure your rear axle, sit it in there. You adjust the bike wings to approximately where you need. They're on inch increments. So you just put it in your inch increments. There's holes in the tube. So right where this is cut off here, if you go halfway in the hole, that will be the center position. So you just snug it all down. Halfway in the hole is the center position. Snug her all down. So usually most people carry one bike, and once you got that set, you're done. At the end of the day, when you're not going to put on maybe a wheelchair lift or a box you want to take with you camping, just unbolt this, take the whole assembly, just set it up on the wall, and you're ready to go. Here's the 4-pin plug. There's another 4-pin that's on the main tube. Plug it in, and you're good to go. I got some lights on. So there you go. You can go your down and up. And remember, when you go all the way down, that to unplug your lights, because it's going to pull on the tether. If you forget to unplug it, it pulls it straight down and unplugs it for you. So it really doesn't matter. So there's your up and down. So that's the way that one's situated. Okay, we'll just leave it there for the moment. Now we're going to grab our seat tube. This is your seat tube. There's only one way it can go in. As you can tell, there's a bunch of adjustments here. Now, the object of the game of the seat tube is to grab the seat of the motorbike and not keep it from going this way or this way. That's all it is. It just puts a little bit of pressure on it to keep it in the saddle. So it sits within this saddle right here. So we just drop the seat tube in. Sits in the saddle. I'm going to use the ride bolt for the moment just to hold it up because I don't want to take the other thing out of the package. So let's use the ride bolt to keep her up there for a minute. So in general, what happens is the seat tube has got two, or the seat tube bracket here has got two positions. So what you want to do is have your bike sitting in the middle, but you want to have the seat tube so the bike is gently leading towards the back of your vehicle. What that does is that it gives you your center of gravity. You're moving your weight. Remember the 1/3 rule? You're moving your weight towards the back of the vehicle. The second thing is that it's a lot more stable when it's leaning a little bit. It's a lot more stable there, and you got it pulled into place because it's sitting in the. This is stable here because the tires can't go anywhere. It's only the top part of the bike that can flop around because the tires are not going to go anywhere. So what we want to do is just kind of gently lean it towards the back. And then we use our tie downs and we suck the bike down into the rack. So this pushes down on the bike, pushes it into the tubes. Then we use this center hole piece here. We put two tie downs that go into the holes on the end of the tubes. You go around your tires and you grab these tubes, and what you want to do is you want to pull your bike down into the hoops. You want to pull it so it's secure. So at the end of the day, if somebody wants to steal your bike, if somebody wants to steal the bike, I mean, if they got a cutoff saw, they're going to steal it. There ain't nothing you can do about that. But if you really want to, what it does is it really pushes it in. We put the lock pin in here, so that's physically locked. And it takes a lot of effort to lift the bike out of these wings and do it. Once you suck it down, the tires kind of crimp in. They push in a little bit, and they hug the hoops. So to have two guys lift it out, it's going to take a lot of effort to get it to pop out of the lift. And obviously you're going to have to do something with the seat tube. You're going to have to cut it off, whatever it is, to get the thing out of the lift. And now the bike is way up here, so you're going to have to lift the bike from way up here, lift it out of the rack, and actually steal it. So I've spent many nights in parking lots with the bike on the back, felt totally secured. I mean, you're not going to stop everybody. If somebody wants it, they're going to get it. But it's a lot more secure than just having a ramp here with the 4 tie straps. The real issue with the tie strap is that the quality of the tie straps is not as good as they used to be. When you hit a bump, and if your bike is on the back and you got the 2 straps from the handlebars and also from the back end, you're strapping your bike. It's a lot different than it is in a pickup truck. When you ride the bike into the pickup truck, you're grabbing it and you're going out 4 feet, and you're grabbing it, so your angle of pulling your tire into the bed of your pickup truck, you can really suck it in. Well, what happens here on most of them, well, you only have a small little bar out here, and your bike's sitting in the middle, so you're not pulling to the end, to the tail box, or your box of your truck. You're pulling really, really, really close. So when you watch it, if you watch somebody driving down the road and they got the bike with the 2 tethers on it, and they hit a few bumps, it whips it back and forth like that, and it just keeps on pulling on each of the tie straps. And what will happen if you don't tie those tie straps right and tie a knot in it, make a really good tight fit, one of them is going to loosen off and then your bike's going to fall off. So that's the only thing holding your bike on the back are these 4 little cheap tie straps that you buy at your local supplier. So what I did is I actually said, I don't want to lose my bike. I want to be able to look in my rearview mirror and I know it's there. I don't want to see it flopping around. I don't want to see somebody drive past me and point that I lost my bike. I wanted to lock it in, push it down, grab it, suck it, make it part of my vehicle when I pulled it or when I lifted it and took it away. I want to make sure that it's down there hard and stable. That was the number 1 objective for this. So there's the seat tube. When you run the bike down, you can undo the lock here, swing it out to the side, run your bike off. This sits right on the ground, so you can roll your bike on. Most people just roll it on, turn the motor off, roll it on. You can stand there and just hold it with one hand and hit the up. It'll slowly come up into the tire seats. Swing this around, it will slowly come up into your seat rest, and once you're into your seat rest, you can let go of it and just sit there with your key fob and just run it up to the top. Lock down the pin, put your tie straps on, pull it down, snug it down, lift it up, put your ride pin in. So there's a few steps to it, but once you're done, you know you're totally secure. You know you don't have to worry about it anymore. Here's, we'll put the 2 straps on it. Now this is what I do when I carry my bike. Some people do it a little differently, but this is what I do. Here's a tie strap here. It's got a cam lock on it. So you just cam it into position. It's got a knurled nut on it. Tie them up. For argument's sake, I'll just hold it there for the moment. Over there. Might have to get on the other side here. Make sure you tighten up your thumb wheels so everything's locked into place. Oh, there it pulled out. You got to keep in mind, if you do this, then when you run everything up and down, you're going to have to untie this, because the whole system's going to, that's not going to move. This is going to go down. It also pushes 1,000 pounds this way and also 1,000 pounds this way. So it doesn't matter which way you go, you're going to be pushing 1,000 pounds. So in essence, what you want to do is grab these guys. You want to go through your up over your wheel, and you want to grab it down here. That's one of the positions you can do. The second part of this is that you want to grab the bike somewhere up in here, somewhere up here, wrap it around, hook it, whatever, and you want to pull the bike over and into the saddle. The second set of straps you can put on the front here. This is kind of like more like a long term. If you're going on a long drive, put a second set of security straps from here down to the hole on the side. So you come around the bike over the tire and grab it. These guys are on the inside and grab it. So there's a couple different ways of doing it. When I'm going on a long trip, I pull it from the inside. Both of these guys, I grab up by my forks. I pull it in, grab it over there by my back wheel, my back shock. I suck it over into the seat support. And then I put a second set over here, and I strap it around the tire in here, because the object of the game is to push the tire down. Second set strap over the tire onto the other hole over there, and you want to pull it down so it's down and tight. So you got a set here, you got a set here. You push this down in, you put the locking pin in, and you're ready to go. The last part of the security of taking your bike on a long trip is that last part of the security is the ride pin. This is a pretty important part of running safely down the road. So what the object is that, I'm going to steal my ride pin back here. So what the ride pin does is when you lift it all the way to the top, let's grab my, when we lift it all the way to the top, what you want to do is put your ride pin in, which comes all the way to the top. Slide your ride pin in. Put the nut on the other side and you tighten it up. So what you want to do is you want to run it down a little bit. You want to take the pressure off your actuator system. You don't want to take the bounces as you go down the road. You want to run it down just gently until you hit the ride pin. You'll hear the sound of the motor change a little bit. So it's sitting down on the ride pin. You put the nut and bolt on it and you tie it in really tight. So what it does is it takes the outside of the 3-inch square tube, takes the 3-inch square tube and the 2.5-inch square tube in there, and it squeezes them together and makes a friction fit. So not only that you got the bouncing up and down as your bike goes down the road, you got your actuator that's totally out of the picture now, it's just sitting there. And what you do is you want that inner pin, that inner stem to sit on the ride pin and pull it in tight, keep it tight. So that'll keep the bike from doing the wobble at the back. That will tighten up these two places. It'll tighten up, keep the wobble. And it'll also keep it from, it's a security. Because you know that it would take a lot to break that bolt. It's 7/16 stainless bolt. It's going to take a lot of pounding before it's going to break off. This thing will always protect it. It's always engaged. So if something does happen to the ride pin, you forgot to tighten it up, whatever, the bolt falls out, this thing's still engaged. It's still holding onto the bike. I've had nobody say that they've lost their bike because of it. As long as you get the ride pin in, you're off and go. I use the ride pin wherever I go, even if I'm going down the street. I may get halfway down the street, somebody phones me, and I head off for an hour drive, and I forget about putting the ride pin in. I always put the ride pin in. The last part of talking about this is that let's kind of re-look at a few things. So the object of the game is that you went out and you spent a lot of money on an expensive bike. So you want to keep it as secure as you can. This one lifts up to 650 pounds. So you can have like I've lifted BMW F800s, the Africa Twin. I've done a couple 1200 BMW GSs. The 1200s are a bit of a stretch that you can do it, but you're going to have to strap it more. That's what these brackets are for. Anything over a 500-pound bike, basically, or 450 pounds, you're going to have to do another attachment to your bumper or your frame rail or something like that, because what happens, even though it's strong enough, what happens is each of this, as you go down the road, you get a lot of this going on. And you're taking your inner tube and you're twisting it. You're taking the tube on your vehicle and you're twisting it. And you don't want that to happen, because the tubes on your vehicle are not designed to go back and forth this way. So what will happen is you'll start cracking your welds and you possibly could lose your bike. I mean, that's just the cold hard facts. So the object of the game is get your bike in here, get it pulled right down tight as you can, snug it right down, put your straps on. We also do an anti-hitch rattle device on your 2-inch tube on your hitch. That'll make it so that there's no hitch out there where you can actually put in a trailer hitch or anything like that. It stays completely solid. They always got wiggle and wobble. They always wobble around. So there's quite a few. There's usually one in the pack. I usually throw one in. This box didn't have one today. But what you want to do is you want to keep everything tight. So when you're driving down the road and you're looking in your rear view mirror, you don't want your bike to be flopping, going like this or like that. So if you got a heavier bike, a 400-pound bike, you're going to get a little bit of movement. If you got a 300-pound bike, you wouldn't even know it's there. It just take off. It's so solid, it's insane. So it's just when you get to around the 400 or 500-pound mark, that's when you got to think about what you're doing and make sure everything is secure. Make your hitch is the proper class of hitch. Make sure it's got the correct weight rating. So when you put the whole package together as a unit onto the back of your vehicle, everything is stable and strong. Yearly maintenance is basically check all the welds, check for cracks, check for any kind of deformities, any kind of corrosion. You want to run the tube all the way down to the bottom and clean everything, clean all the grime or whatever buildup on it. You can give it a little dry spray or put a little lubrication grease on it, whatever it is to lubricate it. And that's pretty much it. You don't really need to do anything else. If you do have an issue and you pinch a wire, if something happens and you pinch a wire, it is fused. We carry parts. We carry the extra spare key fobs. We have extra controllers that sits underneath here. These are like waterproof, rainproof, so it can sit underneath there for months and months and months. It's a little control board. So it's everything's interchangeable. Like I say, everything's stamped. Everything is recorded. So if you break a bike wing or your wiring harness breaks or something like that, you can phone back to the factory and we got replacements. So that sums up about now. Hopefully it explains a little bit more in depth about how much effort has gone into the lift. Just want to make sure you carry your bike safely, and for a couple $1,000, it's a pretty good security. People spend tons of money on their bike. I mean, this should be like your #1 secure way to bring your motorbike with you. Goes on a lot of motorhomes, a lot of pickup trucks. Lots of SUVs want to bring their bikes along. It's just a simpler, easier way to haul your bike around. So that concludes this. Any question, whatever, shoot me an email. Any clarifications, just shoot me an email and I'll shoot you an answer. Thanks.